Good morning, Brownsville. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this feed. If this is your first time here, welcome. My name is Frankie Olivo. Our program focuses on the very important issues that are affecting our local community. We have shed light on injustices and we've allowed for our platform, this mic, to be that of the voice of the people. Now, if this is something that you can see yourself supporting, well, we ask that you join the cause. Make sure that you follow and subscribe to all of our social media platforms. Currently, right now, this live program is being streamed on X, formerly known as Twitter, and on Facebook. We could be found under Frankie Olivo. Make sure you follow our personal page on Face. We could be found under Olivo Frankie. But more importantly, if you haven't already, create a Gmail account, go to YouTube, like, follow, and subscribe to our channel titled Frankie Olivo TV. It's free. The reason why we ask of you to follow all of our social media platforms is because as of late, our Facebook page is at risk of being taken down. The powers that be do not want you, the voter, the people, to know the truth. But remember, we will not be silenced. So if you're really about the cause and you want to stand up to corruption and want to hold our elected leaders and those in leadership positions accountable, well, you know what to do. Support the cause. Make sure you follow all of our social media platforms. Good Morning Brownsville will come on Monday through Friday religiously. So make sure that you are subscribed to Frankie Lee on YouTube. And always remember, Brownsville, we are forever grateful to each and every one of you for your time and attention that you provide us. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have former Congresswoman Mayra Flores in with us to speak to you, the voters.
Good
morning, Mayra
morning.
Flores. How's your day going so far, ma'am?
Good. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Ma'am, it's an honor. Again, we are exactly 2 weeks away from the start of early voting. It's very
Yes.
important for the constituents, the people within your district, to hear from the candidate herself. Ma'am, to start off, how has this campaign been for you?
It has been one of the most difficult, but my favorite of all. You know, I've never felt this confident in the work that we've been putting in for years. I mean, we started this journey back in 2021, and to finally see the light of all our hard work back in 2021, 22, 23, 24, and here we are leading by double digits. And so I'm just so proud, but I couldn't do this by myself. I have an amazing team that is out there knocking doors every single day, making the phone calls. I'm focused on knocking doors as well, making phone calls for fundraising to get people out to vote. I mean, every day is campaign.
Uh, you stated that you've been at this for quite some time now.
Yes.
What are the issues, ma'am? What are the issues that you've been hearing within your district from Corpus all the way down to Brownsville that people are facing today?
It really is the economy. And it hasn't, changed for a long time. Yes, they've seen a tremendous improvement on a lot of our goods, but it's not enough. The cost of living is still very high. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. I've said this over and over. We don't have a revenue problem in this country. We have a spending problem. And since we're not in budget, our government is not in budget. They're constantly printing money. That is causing interest rates to go high, and that's what's causing all this cost of living to be up, and we can't afford it. It's not that we're not working; we're actually overworking as Americans. We're working overtime. We don't have a lot of time. Most families don't have time for a vacation because they can't afford it. They're focused on on their rent, their mortgage, their car payment, their credit card debt, you name it. Most Americans can't even afford a vacation here to South Padre Island. I know it sounds crazy, but a lot of people can't even afford to go to the island. I know it's only an hour away, but that's how tough things are right now.
What would you say would be your priority? Again, you are a former congresswoman, and you have brought in $200 million to your district before.
Mhm.
What would you say, Ms. Flores, is your number one priority to address this economic issue that your constituents are facing?
Well, I know a lot of things are happening around the world, but I can't fix the world. But I can do my best here at home. So my priority is Texas District 34. And when I was in Congress, that was my priority, bringing the millions of dollars, bringing the bacon back to our district where we could invest it here and be the best PR for Texas District 34 to bring investors to this area, good paying jobs, 20, $25 an hour, $30 an hour. Why not $40 an hour, $50 an hour? We need those good paying jobs here in South Texas. So we don't have to leave South Texas. Most of us want to live here in South Texas. We love it here. I know a lot of people want to leave South Texas, but trust me, once you leave, you want to come back. I love South Texas. I love the RGV. I love the 956. I never want to leave. And I want our kids to have the option to stay here to accomplish the American dream here and that they don't have to leave South Texas, Texas District 34 for better opportunities. Those opportunities are here. But for that to happen, we need to be promoting this area in Washington and all over the United States and bring more Elon Musk into this community, bring more billionaires into this area to invest and create good paying jobs where we can be able to provide for our families and prosper.
That's a big issue because when I graduated from high school, the only logical thing was you had to leave to a bigger city.
I know.
Unfortunately, would you say that Brownsville now with Elon Musk, SpaceX, with LNG, that the future is promising for the future generations?
Absolutely, but it shouldn't stop there. It shouldn't stop there. There's other people who do not want to be involved in that industry, right? So we have to bring other industries into this area. But yes, that is something that I am very supportive because they're providing a lot of thousands of good paying jobs, and that's why there's a lot of beautiful homes being built because a lot of them that got good paying jobs are now being able to afford a beautiful home and get their car and raise their beautiful families and be able to provide. This shouldn't even be Democrat or Republican. Like, who does not want to prosper? Who does not want more money in their pockets? So for me, that's my top priority. Once you get into Congress, once you're in that position, you're there to serve all people, like regardless of the politics. And that's what I want to do. I just want to bring prosperity to this area and not be known as this is the area where we have the highest government assistance and poverty. I don't want us to be known for that. I'm so blessed. We are also blessed that we live in a country that we're able to get government assistance if we need it. But there should be a path for you to get out of that and prosper and not depend on the government, because a lot of people want you to depend on the government. They want to manipulate you to stay depending on the government. And I don't want that. I don't want us to depend on the government. I want you to be able to be independent and be able to provide for yourself and not rely on the government, because when you give the government the the power to feed you, you're giving them the power to starve you.
Interesting. As of late, many residents out of the city of Harlingen and possibly even Cameron County as a whole have been skeptical of this data center that is rumored to be built in Harlingen. What's your take, ma'am, in regards to that sort of facility being built here in our area?
Well, I do think that the people of Cameron County have the right to decide what's best for them. And I do think that these decisions need to be on the ballot. But is this corporation that's coming in, is what are the job opportunities? What's the salary? Are they coming in to provide minimum wage jobs, or are they here to provide good paying jobs? Because that's what we need. We need good paying jobs, over 15, 20, $25 an hour. We don't want more corporate companies to come here to pay us the minimum wage.
What have you heard, ma'am, in on your campaign trail in regards to agriculture, in regards to the farmland? What is the current state of the farmers here in your district, and what's your message to them if Mayra Flores is their congresswoman?
Well, in my time of Congress, I was in the agriculture committee. I was a farm worker, so I take that very seriously. I'm very passionate about agriculture. I don't think that we prioritize it the way we should. We give, our farmers money not to farm. Literally, our government pays our farmers not to farm and bring those goods from other countries. We need to empower our farmers. Only 2% of our farmers feed America, and that's a problem. Again, if our country is giving other countries the power to feed us, then they will have the power to starve us whenever they want to. And so we need to prioritize our farmers, our ranchers. Right now, water has been a big issue in Texas District 34, honestly, throughout Texas. And a lot of that has to do with Mexico, of course, not releasing the water that they owe us. President Trump did put a lot of pressure in Mexico by increasing the tariffs. Mexico has agreed to release that water back to Texas District 34, but we lost a sugarcane company, and hundreds of jobs were lost. If I'm not mistaken, over 700 jobs were lost because of that. And it's too late. We can't bring back that sugarcane company, right? But a lot of it has to do with infrastructure, and that is at the state level. But us, as members of Congress, need to make sure that the local representatives and state are building the infrastructure that we need. We don't have enough reservoirs in South Texas. Mexico has built reservoirs all over, which gives them power to control the water. Why are we not building those reservoirs? We shouldn't be relying on Mexico to release the water. We should have that power of our own water and not be relying on Mexico. And that is at the state level. Our governor needs to prioritize building those reservoirs.
Vela has an interesting point and something that I want to redirect. Healthcare, ma'am. Healthcare has been a topic of discussion these past few years with Obamacare, the ACA, premiums skyrocketing. Here, unfortunately, in the RGV, we have seen a high increase of cancer. Could you tell us on in regards to healthcare? How would you work to reduce costs while also trying to protect people's pre-existing conditions or any medical issues that they may have?
Well, the problem is that we're not going after the pharmaceutical companies, and we're not going after the insurance companies. I understand that they're very powerful, but they're not more powerful than we, the people. And there is no cap. The problem is that insurance companies need to be put on a cap. They're overcharging Americans on insurance. Pharmaceutical companies are also charging Americans 20, 30, 40, 50 times more than anywhere else. The same medication, we can cross the border in Progreso and buy it for $5, $10, and yet that same company is selling Americans that same medication here for $100, $200, or even more. And that's the problem. We need to hold accountable the pharmaceutical companies and also insurance companies as well. They need to be put on a cap, and that's where we can introduce those bills and make it federal, where there has to be a cap for these insurance companies, because that's what the real problem is here. It's the cost, because they're charging us all this money to Americans because they benefit off of Americans being sick. They do. They do benefit of all of us being sick. How come our children in this country are the sickest? How come we see such an increase in cancer patients as well? Only in America. And it starts with our food, of course, and our health. But again, these pharmaceutical companies benefit off of Americans being sick. And a lot of members of Congress are afraid of going after them because they take their money. And I've never taken any corporate money. I've never taken any money from any insurance companies or insurance companies. And because the moment you do, they're able to control you in how you legislate. And so that's something that I have committed, not to accept any of this money.
And that's interesting that you say that, man, because Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who currently serves as the U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services, that is something that
Hmm.
he has
He,
addressed
yes.
with flaming hot Cheetos, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes.
with dyeing the food. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Because that's very interesting to me. I never thought of that. In
Isn't
order
it
for us to address our
insane?
health, it really is. In
Isn't it
order for
insane
us
how
to address our health,
they'll
we
put
got to
all
address the
these
food.
ingredients here? Isn't it crazy how they'll put all these ingredients here in the United States, but that same hot Cheeto bag in Europe does not have that ingredient? Again, it's because they want to make us sick. They want to benefit off of us, off of our children. And so, what we intake, yes, we're responsible, but also I'm so glad that he is also holding these companies accountable, because it's so, for me, it's like so obvious that they are purposely wanting to make us more sick. But again, a lot of these elected members of Congress, on both sides, are owned by a lot of these companies. And one of the reasons why they're not vocal. And I don't rely on any of those people's donations. My average donation is from the everyday American. I do not take any corporate money. I've never accepted any money from APAC or from any corporate. All my money comes in is from the everyday American from all over the United States. And I wouldn't be able to do what I do and be as vocal as I am, if it wasn't because of the support that I get from everyone from Texas District 34 and from all over the United States.
Besides healthcare, which is very, very important, is education. We want to improve our education in all
We do.
aspects. What can you tell us during your time in Congress, ma'am, that you focused on in regards to this, and what steps do you anticipate to improve in regards to our education, particularly vocational and technical trainings here in South Texas?
Well, I don't, I actually want the federal government not involved in education. I think that that should be at the state level and local level. But parents have a huge responsibility. There is nothing better than the education that we get at home. And let me explain that. My parents did not go to college. My dad went to school, I think, up to second grade. My mom, third grade, but they're very educated, very wise because of the education they got at home. And the education that you get at home from your parents is 100 times better than any education you're going to get in a public school. So, we as parents have a huge responsibility in instilling that type of education that is actually going to empower their children wherever they go. But I do think that public schools education needs to be handled at the state level, at the local level, and parents have the right to decide what is the best education for their children. But we should absolutely continue promoting education, but teachers, educators, need to understand that parents ultimately have the right to decide what is best for their children. But the real education starts at home, and there is no better education than the education that your parents instill in you.
Uh, Transitioning to pop culture, I guess you could say, or what's been happening out in the world. The Grammys, ma'am, the Grammys aired on Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, and there have been not just the Grammys, but there has been a lot of backlash in regards to federal agents, in particular ICE. What's the current culture that you see, ma'am, and are we walking down a dangerous path if nothing is
We
done about
are.
this?
Absolutely. It's only dividing us. And I think they're doing it in purpose. All these celebrities, look, they're encouraging all this, violence and protest while they're in their $1 million home, while they have, top security. They're not the ones putting themselves at risk and protesting. They're encouraging you to go and protest and become violent. You have the right to protest, but you don't have the right to, be violent and attack an agent. Our men and women are just enforcing the laws. I don't understand what the outrage is. These agents have been doing the same job as long as I remember. I mean, Obama was the deporter in chief. He deported more illegal immigrants than President Trump. And Tom Homan, the same ICE director from the Obama administration, is now handling the deportations. What's changed is the media, and they're manipulating the community to go out and protest and become violent because they want us to be divided. They want to instill hate in you. As a Republican, as a conservative, I don't hate anybody because of their political views. I actually want to have a real conversation with you. They want us to be divided, not to talk to each other, to hate each other. Here we are creating peace around the world, but yet at home we're more divided than ever. And I do think that we need to prioritize peace in our country first and take care of our home before we handle anything else. Because, yes, I want world peace, but our country is literally so divided, hating each other because of their political views. There's something wrong there when someone is telling you to hate that person because of their political view. I've never given anyone, I don't care who you are, that power to instill hate in me towards my fellow brothers and sisters.
It's interesting because it seems as if this is a game by the mainstream media.
Hmm.
You
They're actually doing it purposely. I do believe it. I do think that this is all planned. How do these cameras know that these agents are going to be there? Who's leaking this information? Yeah, and also we saw the names of the Border Patrol agents being put out there, not only putting their life at risk, but also putting their children's life at risk, wanting us here in South Texas to hate our men and women in Border Patrol when South Texas has always been friendly to our men and women in Border Patrol because they're our family. They're our brothers, our sisters, our spouses. The Border Patrol, the ICE agents, they're our family. The majority are Hispanic, but they want us to hate each other. And I just ask everyone, put your feelings aside. Don't allow anyone to instill hate towards you. Deportations have always existed. Doesn't matter who the president is.
Interesting. Um, just last week, we heard that the FBI was investigating the 2020 elections, and you have been very vocal, ma'am, in regards to the
Mhm.
SAVE Act these past few months. Could you talk to us a little bit
Yes.
about the SAVE Act and why it's necessary for it to get implemented?
It's common sense. I don't understand why the SAVE Act has become so politicized. All it's saying is that you have to prove that you're a citizen to vote, to register to vote. That's it. You have to prove that you are a US citizen to register to vote. A lot of people say that's already been implemented. No, that's actually only implemented in certain states. It's not implemented all over the United States. There's nothing wrong with proving that you're an American citizen before you register to vote. That right is only for US citizens also. The census is another issue. Based on the census and the congressional lines are drawn. When they're drawn, they include everyone. And the congressional line should be drawn only with American citizens because a member of Congress should only be representing an American citizen. And this isn't nothing new. No one should get offended by this. These rules are the same rules in Mexico. In Mexico, you have a voter ID to go vote. You can't vote without a voter ID. It's not, I don't understand why the left screams racism when most Latin America has these same rules. Only US citizens should be able to vote in this country. Why is it so controversial? And so the say that protects the American people's vote because in a lot of states, unfortunately, there's a lot of fraud. And so
As
this will also fix the issue with the census where the lines are also drawn for members of Congress to represent only the people that elected them to be in that position and American citizens.
That's interesting that you say, because a lot of people are saying, oh, this is racism, and I don't need to
I'm
show
ex-
proof.
I, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted with that type of mentality. To be honest with you, I don't know if their frontal lobe is fully developed or not, but like this is just common sense. Again, Mexico has voter ID, so you can't come here to United States and scream racism when where you come from also has voter ID. I mean, I was born in Mexico. I don't understand how the United States, I'm a proud American. I don't understand why in the United States we do not require a voter ID separately from your license. We should all have a separate voter ID where you have proven that you're an American citizen and that everything is all updated. It's only to protect your vote, your right to vote. So many men and women fought for us to have that right. You should protect it, and so many Latin American countries do it as well. What's the big deal? I don't even know why this is. I don't know why this is controversial. Sometimes I'm like, I'm so exhausted of so much nonsense. It's To me it's common sense.
Another interesting thing that has happened as of late was happened out of Fort Worth, the
Oh
state Senate
yes.
District 9. And I wanted to touch base on, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this, because we saw how a pro-Trump area was won by a
Hmm.
Democrat. Now, again, this was a special election, but
Right, but it was 17 points though.
the Trump endorsed candidate did lose her election. What can you make out of this race in particular, and is this something to that's going to happen throughout the state of Texas?
Well, this should be, an alarm for Republicans. A lot of people say, Myra, this was a special election just like yours. And like, well, no, not really. I flipped a district that President Biden had won by 4. Okay. This individual flipped a district that President Trump won by 17 points. Okay, that is very concerning. They shouldn't just rub it under the rug and be like, oh, we got it in November. She spent over $2 million and he spent $200,000.
Wow.
President Trump did endorse her a couple months ago. President Trump even, put out a true social on election day to go out and vote. Governor Abbott as well endorsed her. At this point, they need to stop endorsing and just go out there to the community. Do not rely on just endorsements. We need to get out to the community, knock on doors, talk to the community, hear their concerns. Don't spend so much time. Social media is a huge and important platform. I use it, but I do not rely on my social media platform to get elected. No, you got to be knocking doors. You got to be talking to the people that are going to elect you, because it's very different what's happening on social media. And there's a whole different reality on the ground. And so a lot of candidates, a lot of representatives, they base their campaigns based on what's trending on X or based on what they're seeing on social media. And most people, it's just not the full reality. You gotta you gotta knock on doors. You gotta talk to the small business owners. You gotta talk to the doctors, the plumbers, the teachers, the truckers, the nurses, respiratory therapists, you name it, servers, janitors. You need to talk to the everyday people. And trust me, most of them are not caught up on all the nonsense on social media. And that's the problem. We're gonna win elections by listening. That's it. Listen to the people that are gonna vote for you. And no endorsement's gonna get you elected. You cannot rely. I've gotten all the endorsements before. I'm not a rookie. I don't need those endorsements anymore. My team, we have built a name for ourselves, but it was through hard work. It was through talking to the people of the district. It wasn't through social media. Yes, I use social media all the time, but it's not, but I don't rely on it. And
Uh,
so I wish I'm rooting for her to win in November, but she has to, put some tennis shoes on and go out there and start knocking some doors and talking like, What happened? What can I do to win your support in November?" That's what we do. That's what we have to do.
and you said it best when you stated that running the campaign, there's a science to it. Yes, social media, doing these podcasts are important, but you need foot on the ground. You need to be knocking on doors. And one thing that impressed me,
Doors
ma'am,
win
is
wars.
and one thing that impressed me, ma'am, was that you stated that since the Mayra Flores team has been active in South Texas since 2021, 2022,
2021.
your team has knocked on over 100,000 doors. Is that the
Oh, way
reason
more than
why?
that.
Is that the
Way
reason why
over
Mayra
that.
Flores is a household name?
Yes. Yes. But and by the way, since 2021, it's way over 250,000 doors.
Wow.
I know. And my amazing team. I've knocked on those doors too, but man, my hardworking team, my sister, I mean, she that woman loves door knocking. She's she loves it. Every day she knocks over 100 doors a day, my sister. Yeah, my son, who's getting ready to go to the Air Force as well, he's like, "Mom, I got to get you elected right before I leave to the Air Force." So he's knocking over 100 doors as well. So I just think that that's how you connect with the people.
In private, with acquaintances, that's something that I have shared because one of your opponents, he did receive the Trump endorsement. And,
Hmm.
many people are saying, oh, well, he's the anointed one. He's going to win. But yet again, he has, what, 6, 7 months, in this
I won
game.
the special election without his endorsement, and I lost, my last two with his endorsement, even though the lines were very different. I support, President Trump and his agenda, but his advisors got it wrong, you know, and it's unfortunate because in this primary, I'm the only one that actually helped him be in the position that he's in. But unfortunately, there's a lot of lack of like loyalty in our in politics. I couldn't personally not support someone who helped me be in that position. That's just my personal opinion.
And it's interesting because I believed I saw a resident, a constituent out of Nueces County. He posted a video of President Trump that he said that he wasn't sure that he even endorsed her. Did you see that?
I
Was
did.
that did happen, right? Because they
That
asked President Trump,
did.
what are your thoughts on your endorsed nominee candidate losing the race? And he said, what are you talking about? I wasn't even
Um,
aware of this. So
yeah.
what does this lead us to believe? Maybe President Trump's team was the one that pushed for your opponent's endorsement. Is that
Oh.
fair to
Oh.
assume?
No, that actually did happen. That's I'm 100%. President Trump, has advisors and he put trust in them. 100%. 100%. President Trump has a lot going on. He's doing a lot of things. But yes, he did endorse this young lady and actually tweeted on election day about her election as well. But there's just a lot of people that surround President Trump that are not there for the right reasons. And a lot of these endorsements are paid endorsements.
I
I
would
don't
like
pay
for
for
you.
endorsements. I don't pay for endorsements at all.
I would like for you to address the your district, because one thing that I've been hearing a lot is, oh well, she lost twice. Talk to
I
the people in
know.
regard to
I
you making ground, because it's all based on the map, and you overperformed in each race. Can you talk to the people in regards to that have that question?
Yes. So It's one of my biggest frustrations when people say that, because we actually overperformed. You're right. When I won in the special election, it was a Biden plus 4, meaning that Biden won the district by 4 points. Redistricting happened in the middle of my election. And when they redrew the lines, they made the district a Biden plus 17, meaning that Biden had won the district by 17 points, made it 4 times harder for me to win my reelection. That's why Vicente Gonzalez jumped ships. He was a member of Congress in Texas 15. They made that district more competitive. They made Texas District 34 more stronghold for Democrats. So he jumped into Texas District 34 because of that. I stayed in the fight and I said, you know what? Even if we come close, but we're winning areas that we've never won before. So I stayed and ran for reelection, but lost the first time. I lost by 8 points, but I was supposed to lose by 20 points. And so I actually overperformed. And then the second time I ran again, I lost by 2 points, that same district. So I'm getting closer and closer and closer. And I just don't believe in giving up and what you've worked really, really hard for. And especially now that they redrew the lines once again, right? Now they drew the lines and made it a more conservative district. And I just feel that it's unfair for someone who's put in no work to just come in and say, I'm going to run and I want to be the member of Congress in this district. And of course, like, he comes from a family of politics. His father is, Democrat, Flores, who, by the way, was indicted for corruption, was known as Mr. 10%. And so he's been involved in politics. His family's been involved in politics. He's a lawyer. No disrespect to lawyers, but we got plenty of you in Congress. And I just think that, why not? Why can't the everyday American be in these positions? I heard him the other day say, I'm going to donate my salary. That, again, I'm like, wow, that sounds wonderful, but that comes from a privileged position. See, how many Americans can say to their work where they work and say, I'm going to donate my salary to you? No, you can't afford it, right? But he comes from a very privileged position, very wealthy millionaire. Again, his father was a state Democrat representative for a long time. So he's able to do those things. But it shouldn't just be people like him. It should be the everyday American. I'm here to tell you that if the everyday American would run this country, we would be in a much better position. But we've allowed a lot of, I know you're wearing a suit and tie, but no disrespect, but I'm just saying we've allowed a lot of people with suits and ties, to run our country. And you can, and it's like, hey, we want the everyday American too to run this country. Trust me, they've instilled in us that these positions are only for certain people. And no, these positions are for us too. And we would be in a much better position if we would have the everyday American that understands the struggle, what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. And
It's
that is
interesting
just
that
my humble opinion.
it's interesting that you say that because, and me as an outsider, from the outside looking in, I have studied your opponent's campaign, and I'm not trying to bash the person, but I don't think it's resonating. I don't think the career prosecutor. Me personally, whenever I want to vote
Who
for a
did they
person,
who did they prosecute under the Biden administration?
no one knows. They don't say. They went after President Trump, of course. But I always try to look at each candidate and say, do I relate to this person? Does this person know my struggle? And I think that's something, ma'am, that constituents throughout District 34 are asking themselves. Do I relate to somebody that was raised with a silver spoon, that doesn't know the grind, the struggle of everyday Americans?
Nope.
And I think he's having that trouble resonating with people. Yes. By the way, ma'am, I'm only wearing a suit because of you. Usually, I'm.
Oh,
Somebody mentioned, man, Frankie, you cleaned up well. If it wasn't for you, I
Thank
wouldn't
you
have
so
showered.
much.
If it was, I wouldn't have showered. I wouldn't have combed my hair. So I'm making an exception.
Thank you. No, I love that. Thank you. And that's why I said no disrespect. I love and appreciate that so much. But that's not what I meant.
No, no, I'm joking. But what I'm going at is that the average Joe that's living paycheck to paycheck
Yes. I
doesn't.
remember them telling me, "What qualifications do you have?" And I was like, "Well, if those are the qualifications you want, like, no, I don't want those type of qualifications." And I remember thinking, like, how did these people get elected? They've lost their common sense, and they make it, they make everything political, and they're willing to politicize everything, even if it hurts Americans. And that's what I mean, like, yes, I'm Republican, I'm conservative, but my number one priority is the Valley. I grew up here, and I'm just sick and tired of the Valley being seen a certain way. It's like, no, why can't people come here and accomplish the American dream here? Like, I'm moving to the Valley, I'm moving to South Texas because I hear there's amazing opportunities over there. Why can't we have that here? Like, why do people think so little? Like, no, we have the ingredients to be successful. Screw them. They can come here and invest here. We have the ingredients to be successful. Like, we need to think big. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. We need to be ambitious. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, because these people are taking advantage of how humble we are and nice we are. Yes, we're all those things, but um we want money. We want our money to be invested here. We work way too hard, and they send our money, our taxpayer money, to what? Minnesota. Look what happened in Minnesota with all that fraud. No, like, I want it here. I want our money to stay here and be invested here. So yeah, I'm gonna be very selfish, it's gonna be all about this area because this is where I live. This is where my children live. This is where I grew up. I'm from San Benito, Harlingen. I know we got beef, but I'm gonna need you to put that beef aside, okay? And we'll handle it later. But I'm from San Benito. I'm from the Greyhounds. Graduated in 2004. Like, I'm from here. Like, I'm not an outsider. Like, I grew up in this area. This is my home. This is where my heart is.
People are talking also about the financial reports that were recently submitted, and you, Mayra Flores, outraised your opponent, the Trump endorsed candidate, by over $200,000 in the last quarter. Which I've heard that the last quarter is one of the hardest quarters to raise money because it's vacation, people are out of town.
Yes. Yes.
What does this mean to you, ma'am? With these comparisons of you outraising your opponent by $200,000 in one of the hardest quarters to raise money. What does that mean?
I'm very proud. I was very proud when I saw those numbers. I was like, that's right. I was like, that's right. I was very proud of my team, because they're the ones that are also putting in the hard work. But very proud. And as you can see, you can't rely on endorsements. Money's not going to come in just because you're endorsed. And that's what he thought. He thought, oh, I'm going to have these endorsements. I'm just going to lay it back here and the money's going to come. It's like, no, you gotta put in the work. And these type of people just think that endorsements, it's what's, and that's why all these endorsements are coming in, because his numbers are just not moving.
Mhm.
He's stuck, in the single digits, barely, 12, 13%. I think that's the maximum. And so they're like, okay, we need endorsements, bring endorsements. Yeah. And so you're seeing everybody endorsing right now to get to where I am. But I've done all that. Again, I'm not a rookie. I don't need those endorsements.
And I think what people failed to realize was that there's more to money. Uh,
Yes.
in my opinion, you have
It's a
5 years
component. It's a
ahead of them.
component.
Correct. You have 5 years ahead of them that you've been working
Yeah.
foots on the ground. And one
I'm
thing
like, yeah.
that resonates with me, ma'am, is that there's not, in my opinion, there's not an amount of money, a price tag on all those years that you and your team have invested.
Hmm.
Because again, you've knocked on hundreds of thousands of doors, and here comes
Over
this individual,
250.
and here comes this individual thinking, oh, I'm gonna get the support. I have money. I'm gonna loan myself, $300,000-$400,000. I should be good. That's not the way campaign works.
Nope. And I love that. It should be a component, and it is, right? You do need the funding. Endorsements are great, but that's not how what will connect you to the people. You got to put in the hard work. You got to sweat. Besides the gym. Like you got to the sweat, you got to go put it out there in the community.
Mayra Flores, how would the first 100 days of Mayra Flores being the Congresswoman look like? What would you and I hope I
Uh
hope you would be able to come back to this platform, ma'am, and talk to us after your 100 days. What could
Frankie,
the
oh my
huh?
gosh. Of course. What's wrong with you?
What could the constituents of District 34 expect after Mayra Flores being in office for 100 days?
Oh, you have no idea. First day in office, I'm gonna be like, okay, we need to make sure we're bringing in the funding to the district. I'm going to prioritize bringing lots of money to this area, but I'm also going to make sure that the people at the local level are being held accountable, because the thing is that I can bring the millions of dollars to this area, but then at the local level, if they're not distributing the money where it needs to, that's a problem. There's a lot of compadrismo in South Texas, you know, that is, I'm cutting that. We're not bringing in our hardworking taxpayers' money for you to be helping your compadres. There's a lot of small businesses that do not get the support that they need because they don't know anybody, know anybody that is elected at the local level or at the state level. And those are the small businesses that I'm going to make sure that have the support. Those small businesses that are not well connected to the elected officials. And if you're an elected official and you're not putting the people that elected you to be in office, I'm gonna make sure they vote you out, because it really, it's not just about me being in office. It's about electing the right people at the local level as well. And so that's one of my biggest concerns. Like, I'm gonna bring in a lot of money to this area. I want to see the transformation. If I'm not seeing, okay, where's the money that we're bringing into this area? And I will personally get involved and get these people out of office, because we cannot see a transformation in the RGV with the same people in office over and over and over. You can't. I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. If you're not doing your job, you should be voted out. And in the Valley, we have corruption and a lot of compadrismo. And that shit needs to end. It's that simple.
Mayra Flores, take us home, ma'am. Why should the people vote for you to be their next representative in DC?
Because you don't need to take any chances. I'm the only one that's actually been in office. You know what you're gonna get. I have a plus voting record in my time of Congress. I always voted in favor of this district. In 7 months, I brought in more money than Philemon Vela did in a full term. I actually closed more casework than Philemon Vela did in a full term. So I know how to work hard. It's in me, it's in our blood, it's who we are here in South Texas. And so I am 100% committed to you in making sure that we bring the millions of dollars that we need. But it's not just about bringing in the money, it's about making sure that the money is being invested in the right places. We're constantly flooding in the valley. My home flooded twice. So I want to make sure that money is being invested in infrastructure before we get hit by hurricane level 4, because it's going to happen and we're not ready and we're not prepared for it. So I don't know what we're waiting for. I don't know what these mayors are waiting for. I don't know what these commissioners are waiting for. Their top priority right now should be infrastructure and making sure that the people of this area are safe, just in case we get hit by a hurricane level 3. I mean, we're flooding by a hurricane level 1 or 2. I've lost my home twice due to flood. I've lived it. And so it's things like that. It's making sure that the money we're bringing in from the federal government, our money is being invested in us, in the people of Texas District 34. So I, again, humbly ask for your vote. I'm 100% committed to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are exactly 2 weeks away from the start of early
2
voting
semanas.
with Election Day on March the 3rd. Mayra Flores, thank you so much for your time and your attention, ma'am. It's
Thank
very important
you.
for our politicians running for office to give face, to talk to the constituents and hear their concerns. You know, not everybody's going to support you, ma'am, but it's all about your character. You're standing up to the people and saying, "Ask me whatever you'd like."
Yes.
Mayra Flores, it was my pleasure, ma'am, and I hope maybe sometime down the future we can do this again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. God bless you. And remember, everyone, vote early, February 17th. And March 3rd is election day. Let's make history again.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have it already. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel titled Frank Legal TV. Best believe we'll come on Monday through Friday at 9 a.m., sometimes a little bit after, religiously. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Peace.